You're looking at the exact moment Sophie Cunningham tore up a decades-old unspoken WNBA rule, and she didn't even need a press conference to do it. One casual podcast conversation about DeWanna Bonner's messy exit from Indiana turned into a grenade tossed straight at the league's media machine. This wasn't just about one player leaving a team. This was about who gets to decide the story, the athletes who lived it, or the media gatekeepers who've been shaping it for decades. And Sophie didn't just nudge the old guard. She bulldozed right through them. But what made this slip of a conversation so dangerous that the old media guard is now scrambling to protect their turf?
Can I give you this scenario?
Yeah.
I like DB because DB was one of my vets when I was in Phoenix, and then we gathered here into Indiana, and it was kind of a surprise that she was signed to Indiana anyway. And so we'll take her in a heartbeat. She's a Hall of Famer. She's a hell of a basketball player, can score from anywhere on the court. But she got to Indiana and she just really wasn't happy. And I want people to be happy. So that's why I'm kind of neutral on this one, which a lot of people are surprised about. She's towards the end of her career. So she deserves her flowers. She deserves to be happy. But I also think that if you're going to leave, you're going to have to expect getting bit.
For years, ESPN, The Athletic, and a small circle of insiders have acted as the WNBA's story filters. They chose which players got the spotlight and which narratives were safe to print. If it didn't fit the brand, it didn't make air. It was a velvet rope system. And if you weren't part of the club, your voice didn't matter. Sophie showed that velvet rope is actually wet tissue paper. She went straight to the fans, unedited, unapproved, and with more reach than some of the league's most respected media outlets. For an industry built on acting as the middleman, that's not just a threat, it's an existential crisis. And the numbers Sophie pulled after one explosive moment prove just how little those old rules matter now.
I just think, and you know way better than me,
Yeah.
but it just feels like people are jealous of this new little wave of.
They are,
rookies.
but I just hate that because this is what we've always wanted as a league. So who cares who gets the credit? And if you're smart, you're making money off of them.
Yeah.
You are literally making money from the viewership.
And why bully the person who is not 100% responsible, but has a huge role in growing your sport.
Dude, and it literally pisses me off when people are she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Before the fight, Sophie had a solid following. 350,000 on Instagram, 100,000 on TikTok. 2 days later, over 1 million on each. That's not growth. That's an explosion. She didn't get there by watering down her words to sound media-trained. She got there by speaking the way real fans speak, competitive, unapologetic, and authentic. The exact opposite of the corporate-safe answers that bore people into scrolling away. When she talks, there's no guessing at what she means. No, maybe she was hinting at something. Fans hear her, understand her, and believe her, because she's one of them, not someone reading a pre-approved script. And with that rise came something far uglier. The jealousy she's now willing to name out loud.
Did you see that when DB came back and played for us, that they got mad that our fan base was booing her?
I don't believe in booing former players unless they left on some fuck you type shit. But if someone put in the work and the years, I don't know. I'm such a come on.
Sophie's not shy about calling it out. There's jealousy in the WNBA. Not just at the new wave of marketable stars, but at Caitlin Clark specifically. She's talked openly about players trying to toughen up Clark, code for hitting her harder, fouling her more, and daring the refs to do something about it. Spoiler, they rarely do. It's not just Caitlin anymore either. Her teammates Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall, both white players, are starting to face the same physical targeting. And it's raising uncomfortable questions about whether there's a racial element the league would rather pretend doesn't exist. Dirty play, flagrant fouls, and a shocking lack of protection for the league's biggest draw. The kind of thing that, if it happened to an NBA superstar, would dominate headlines for weeks. But the Bonner drama wasn't just about jealousy. Sophie had the receipts, and she didn't hold them back.
Well, we got another gem that has come to us by way of Sophie Cunningham's new podcast, Show Me Something. It's pretty clear. Every time one of these episodes drops, we better have our ears on because something's going to come out of it.
In the old days, a story like DeWanna Bonner's exit would trickle through a beat reporter, get massaged into a both sides article, and land with all the punch of lukewarm tea. Not this time. Sophie told it herself, directly. Bonner wasn't happy in Indiana. She gave no explanation to teammates, not even a private text. And while Sophie wished her well, she also made it clear, if you leave, expect the booze. She didn't say it to be petty. She said it because it's the truth. And truth has been in short supply in WNBA coverage for a long time. And that truth just happened to be broadcast on one of the most powerful sports platforms in the country.
If someone threw that thing and like, first of all, the bounce that thing had, if that smacked someone in the face, you know that that's going to be plastered everywhere. And if it didn't hit, if it came from the top, dude, I'm thinking about like, if it gets, like, I just know how things go viral now. And I just know if that thing like even came from like the rafters or bounced and just slapped me right in the face, that would be what I'd be known for life.
Here's where the story gets even bigger. Sophie's podcast isn't some homemade garage project. It's distributed by The Volume, Colin Cowherd's sports media empire. That's the first major crossover between a WNBA player's personal content and a mainstream sports network with massive male audience reach. And they didn't sign her as a charity move. They signed her because she delivers numbers and engagement ESPN can't touch. This is the blueprint for the next wave of player deals. WNBA stars stepping out of the women's sports corner and into the larger sports arena, where the audience is bigger, hungrier, and not interested in protecting old hierarchies. And if the Cowherd connection wasn't enough, Sophie followed it up with one of the boldest defenses of Caitlin Clark we've ever seen. Then came the moment that locked in Sophie's next million followers, her defense of Caitlin Clark. While some veteran players and media voices have tried to downplay Clark's impact, Sophie called the critics dumb as hell. Not misinformed. Not a little off. Dumb. As hell. It was more than a hot take. It was a calculated connection with the most passionate fan base in the WNBA. And it worked. Clark's supporters saw Sophie as an ally, not just a teammate, and her engagement skyrocketed. She didn't just speak about Clark. She spoke to her fans in their language without the stale politeness that's been choking WNBA coverage for years. And by doing it, Sophie proved something the old guard has feared for decades.
But she talked about the officiating and boom, they nailed her again. Now, is it uncommon for coaches or players to get fined in a professional league when talking about officiating? No, that's not uncommon. However, when your league is looking worse than the NFL on officiating, you know what you might ought to do? Sit down in the corner and shut the bleep up.
Here's the part that should terrify the old guard. Sophie's influence isn't tied to her stat line. She doesn't need to be an MVP candidate to be a media powerhouse. That's a complete rewrite of the sports media playbook. In the past, only the top stars had a megaphone. Now, any player who's authentic, engaging, and willing to go direct to fan can build an empire. Within 6 months, expect more WNBA players to launch their own shows, podcasts, and channels, following Sophie's cut out the middleman model. The old media system relied on scarcity. If you want your story told, you have to go through us. Sophie proved that was never true. And when authenticity crushes corporate messaging every single time, the traditionalists either evolve or they fade into irrelevance. Because whether they like it or not, Sophie Cunningham didn't just dent the system. She showed everyone that it was fragile all along. And the next player to follow her lead? That's when the real panic will set in. Subscribe to The Caitlin Clark Show so you never miss a single moment of what's going on in the WNBA.